gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am your host, Data T, and this is my channel, The Good Guys. Guys, today's story comes from CNN actually, and they reported on an 11-year-old who shoots and kills the intruder that comes into the home, and he has his sister with him. Guys, I'm just doing an extension of the Kids Week. I just want to make sure that everybody's got the point that children are defending themselves. Now, I know this is from 7 years ago, but it really doesn't matter. I can pull them up from any time period in our history. It shows that it did happen and that it does happen. Okay? So, if you guys wouldn't mind, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Remember, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I know we can get there with your help. You guys can hit me on Twitter, on Minds, on TruthSocial, and various other platforms like TikTok and Instagram. So, let us begin.
11-year-old boy home with his 4-year-old sister, the only two that are in the house. Now, from what we understand from police, there were already 2 other attempts to break into the house that same day. This is yesterday. And then on the 3rd attempt, they do believe that the 16-year-old gained interest to the house because the police are telling CNN they see no forced entry. So they believe that the 16-year-old came in through the front door, and that is when the 11-year-old shot the 16-year-old with just one shot and hit him in the head. They do believe that the 16-year-old had an accomplice with him who fled when that one shot was fired. They later took into custody a 22-year-old who actually lives on the same block as the shooting for suspicion of burglary. Now, what we know is that neither of the siblings were hurt, but we have heard that there was one neighbor who lives on the street who's telling one of our affiliates, KMOV, that their 16-year-old was not trying to gain entry into the house, that was just outside there, that they were arguing back and forth a bit. But police say that there is evidence that this 16-year-old did get inside the house, and that is where the shooting happened.
Guys, let's stop it here. It doesn't matter, I think, if the 16-year-old, even if he had prior permission to go in, if he had been in there, if the children are in there by themselves, okay, and the parents are not home and they have not given explicit permission for that other child to come into the home at any other time, he doesn't belong there. Remember, this 16 years old versus 11 years old and a younger sibling. It's good that there was a firearm in the home, and the only point here, guys, is that children use their firearms to protect not only themselves, again, their siblings, again, and their parents. That is the whole reason behind the week prior and this week now, is to highlight this. Let's move on.
Still, though, when you think about an 11-year-old pulling the trigger to kill somebody, it is just an unbelievably sad story.
Absolutely, and it makes you wonder, where were the parents at this time, and most importantly, how did the boy get the gun?
That's right. So we do know that the mother is cooperating with the investigation, and she reportedly got the gun because of previous break-in attempts, and that's why she had the gun. Whether or not she had talked to the son about using the gun, we don't know that part. But obviously, a lot of questions here about the story and why the 11-year-old seemed so prepared to do this in this time. But
I cannot believe this woman is asking this question. Now, I understand that this is 7 years ago, but did we not also have the case in Los Angeles, in Merced, California, where there is a particular individual with a pitchfork who tried to come in there and he killed the other 2 siblings? And the only thing that the older sibling was trying to get a gun from the cabinet downstairs, but it was locked because the law changed. And then she ran to the neighbor's house. She didn't even ask the neighbor to call 911. She asked him to go use his gun to go and stop the intruder. She knew at that time the police are not going to get there in time. Guys, people like this woman, they are ignorant to the fact. I know this is 7 years ago, but it doesn't matter. We have many cases above the, 7 years ago where children are using firearms to protect themselves. Of course they need to be prepared. Of course they do. And I know there are people out there with this exact reaction, and they say, how can they be so prepared? How can they know how to use a firearm? Parents teach their children how to shoot. Parents do this because they understand that they have to go to work and they can't be with their children like we would love to be. Trust me. The soon as myself, I get a job where I can work from home, I'm going to do that full time. I think every parent wants that. Let's finish the rest of the story.
But also the fact that there was just one shot, and that killed the 16-year-old.
And let's listen to some of the police investigation as we're learning new information. Stephanie, let's listen in.
The access to guns for children, which is exactly what they are, whether you're 11, you're 2, you're 3, is scary, and it's something that should be a concern for not only the police, but for every citizen out there.
Fuck this police officer. Fuck him. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And you know what? For someone who serves the public, he should realize that the police do not get there in time. If he was a outstanding police officer, he would understand this. Okay? I cannot believe this police officer has said this. I don't care what year we are in. I cannot believe he said this. I really can't. It boggles the mind, because children should have access to firearm. Now, I'm going to tell you, definitely it comes down to the parents. The parents have to make that decision. But guys, what if this 16-year-old got into the house and killed them? Then you would have the parent burying their children instead of celebrating them, instead of thanking God that they are alive. Fuck this police officer. Fuck all those people on CNN. This is the type of shit I'm talking about. I cannot believe they said this. Okay? Wow. And this is my first time seeing this, guys. Holy smoke. Usually half the time I watch before, half the time I don't. And this time I just decided to let it rip, and wow. Anyway, guys, you know what I say at the end of these videos. I always say it, and I mean it. Good people should always have guns. Good people do have guns, and good people share those guns with their children. And if we didn't have good men to teach these things, parents to teach these things, I think there would be a whole lot worse. A whole lot worse would have happened. They would have had to bury their children. But good thing it didn't happen. And that good people teach their children how to use firearms. And if we did not have good people, if we did not have good men, there would be no good guys.